Hey everybody, welcome back to Divulgence. So happy for you guys to be here, and I'm so happy to have Monica Perez back. Monica, what's going on? So happy to see you again.
Hi. Yes, thank you for having me back. Last time was, oh my gosh, a
It
comedy
was
of errors.
wonderful.
It was wonderful, but like I lost my internet. I think we had a blackout. It's just I live in I feel like I live on the frontier with
Okay,
my
you live in the
internet, but today's a
States.
good day.
And the States is a wild place right now, right? So,
Yes,
so how's everything
absolutely.
going with yourself before we start sinking our teeth in?
Yes, thank you for asking. I mean, everything's good if you got your health, everything's great. But continue to live in a pile of rubble, but it's coming along. But it's very interesting actually, uh being inside something that makes a lot of news, you can see what utter bullshit the news is. So,
Right. Yeah.
yes. So I live in Altadena, which is one of the two places of the big LA fires, which was 1 year ago, January 8th, where it was when mostly everything burned down. And I just read a newspaper last week that Trump put out an executive order to take over the permitting for the houses here. And the feds, so it just makes me crazy because the Palisades, which is the like fancy beach stuff, I think they are having problems. I don't want to opine about that. But my neighborhood, which is like the poor fringy mountain place, uh, the little councilwoman, whatever, who's been here for a long time, and the community, which is very kind of, anywhere from lower to upper middle class, but
Okay.
parents, grandparents, stuff like that. They have a relationship with this woman, and she's been really responsive to their permitting issues. So I read in the news, I heard on the news, there's only been 12 houses rebuilt, and that's unbelievable. And first of all, to have a house built from scratch and you're living in it within at 12 months of it burning to the ground is would be spectacular anyway. But I walked around on my street, just my street, the name of my street that I live on, just restricted simply to that. And I probably took, I bet there's 6 pictures of houses that are almost move-inable, like they're painted. I don't, there's
Okay.
plastic on the windows, but that's just on my street. It's like 6 houses. So it's bullshit. And it's so much more vulnerable to having BlackRock build like multi-use affordable housing, to have the feds and the Trump corruption thing. I used to defend him against Biden as Biden being the most corrupt ever, or one of the most corrupt. It's really, I think Trump's outpacing. So I do not entrust him to fast track permits so that crazy stuff gets built and gets hijacked. I'm not a big regulation fan, but this is obviously ripe to be hijacked. I'm like totally nervous about that. And the reporting is so different from my experience on the ground. My personal experience sucks because my contractor personally sucks, but there's a lot of good ones. And I mean, that's why I'm like, how come their houses are finished and mine isn't? So, but I can see that I'm worried about the feds coming in and taking over here. But
That's crazy. Yeah, it's wild to see what how the feds and like just Trump in general, leaving himself. He's got his hands into so many other pots these days that it just seems crazy to think,
we were
right? Which is
talking
what we're
before
going
the
to talk
show
about, right?
about this spy. I couldn't believe it. Like, I can't believe this stuff isn't front page news. It is actually on the front page, but people are talking about the Epstein thing.
Yeah.
They're not talking about this sheik where it says, can I read this?
Go for it. Yeah,
First
yeah.
thing.
We'll start
So
with
it says
that. Yeah.
spy chic bought secret stake in Trump company. $500 million for 49% of world liberty came months before UAE won AI chips.
Right.
So, and they steered $187 million to the Trump family entities up front. Eric Trump was the one who signed the deal. It's just, and they were pushing to have access to tightly guarded artificial intelligence chips. I mean, the wheeling and dealing that goes on in the Trump White House. And I personally know, not like friends of mine, but I have met and have run into 2 different people who were in trouble. One was convicted and one was on trial. Both of them got pardons from Trump. So I'm like, are they, if I actually, 6 degrees of separation, this is like one. Like, if I texted these people, they would know who I was. That's how
Wow.
close. And how
And
would you know
and
two
they
people?
receive pardons, sorry, or they
Yes.
know someone?
No, two people I have met, one person I went to school with, one person I had a business um interaction with. I'm like, and I remember worrying about them thinking, you know, boy, I don't know if they were up to no good or what, but so I'm thinking if that's how widespread buying and selling things is, that I've actually know a couple. See, that's when things are really crazy, when you know a couple of people who that happened to. Like if you
Yeah,
know someone who went to jail forever for having pot, you're like, okay,
it
this
gets
is
real.
really out of control.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, so that's crazy. I mean, I also found, I mean, he's just made so much money since taking office. I found this wonderful article. I hope it's not going to jump behind a paywall now that we want to look at it. But it's oh, it started off.
Yeah, go ahead.
It started off with this article, the journalist talking about how so far Trump has made about $1.4 billion in the presidency. And this was a few weeks ago. So we can run through this.
And I wouldn't, are they counting like the Truth Social stuff and all of that? Like that
Well, let's
he
find
hasn't.
out.
Okay.
Why don't we go through it and find out?
And as a prelude, I read this book when he was first running. It's called Trump Nation: The Art of Being the Donald by Timothy O'Brien. It was before he was president. And Timothy O'Brien says in this book that Trump wasn't really that rich. And Trump sued him,
Makes sense.
but then dropped the suit, I think, because he really wasn't that rich. And so when Trump was running in the beginning, many people who trusted him said, what does he have to gain? He has only to lose because he's so rich. And I was like, he's not that rich.
Well, he is now. That's for unless
He is now.
unless he's paying off creditors and debtors or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, he's definitely raking it in now. So, yeah, he's got a little over 1.4 billion made at the time of this article, give or take, obviously. That's been reported. So the article does a good job. Hopefully, we can run through it. So, the Trumps have made at least 23 million from licensing Mr. Trump's name overseas since his reelection.
Which, by the way, I never liked it when Clinton and so many others would sell their speeches. I remember Clinton, I don't know if he got like $1 million or something to do a speech in China in which he
Right.
said like bad stuff about US, and I'm like, well, it's as the representative,
Yeah, like
your
you,
name
dude.
means more.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Wow.
So for those watching, and you can see this diagram, each stack of bills that's going to pop up here represents the median household income in the U.S. about over just under $84,000. Here we go. This is something that's been in the news a lot lately. The Trumps are pocketing $28 million from Amazon for a documentary about Melania Trump. And it's been reported that they paid more than they usually do for documentaries like that. So, I mean, that just goes into he's using the presidency literally to make additional money, make more money.
And there's probably a quid pro quo in there where they're getting
Exactly.
something in return. I mean,
Exactly.
the AI subsidies are just more of the same. Like the US government is paying for research and whatever for AI that will facilitate business and result in a lot of layoffs of workers. So they take our tax dollars, invest in something that would never be justified in a free society where you have
Right.
marginal cost of labor, and any libertarian knows that. And then we get laid off by that. And these guys get the benefit of that tech without really paying for what it would cost. Like, I think it gets funneled through universities, and then universities basically share it or sell it or whatever. But Amazon's right in that mix, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Amazon has, I think they're the biggest, either their biggest customers, the U.S. Department of Defense, or they are the biggest contractor for the Department of Defense, Amazon.
Really, eh?
Yeah. It's one or the other.
Just like when it comes to like just random like
Here, let's
goods
see. It must be
or
clock. Meet America's newest military giant. $10 billion Jedi cloud computing deal is the most lucrative defense deal. It's a $10 billion. Another $600 million deal with the U.S. Air Force for national security technology. Largest defense contractors by market cap. Oh, well, I can't. That I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. So they have a huge stake in getting contracts. Boeing just got a huge contract.
okay.
And I remember thinking, why is Boeing agreeing to leading the charge of discrediting our airline safety? Like, there's a reason for that. I remember seeing in 2018 something, I was like, we have incredibly safe air travel. And why would this news outlet be saying we don't? There's no evidence for that. And I tweeted, like, get ready for a lot of, air travel unsafety or whatever.
Yeah.
And Boeing obviously took the brunt of that. And I thought, why are they doing that? Like, why are they hurting their own business to support this narrative, which is going to lead and has been leading to redoing air traffic control? We're probably going to see a more expensive air travel, whatever. But anyway, I wondered why. And Boeing got this huge contract with the government. They don't care what you think of them. They just care about the money.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's crazy. So next little point, major tech and media companies have paid Mr. Trump $90.5 million in settlements since his reelection.
Oh my gosh, yes. And he's used some of that. He's used some of that leverage to get not only cash compensation, but to get them to contribute pro bono work for some of his pet projects, including the anti-Semitism legislation.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So the settlements have come from X, ABC News, Meta, YouTube, and Paramount. None of them were justified on the merits. For example, Paramount agreed to pay the president $16 million for what he claimed was deceptive editing of a 2024 Kamala Harris interview. The editing was a normal part of journalism. 3 weeks later, the Federal Communication Commission approved an $8 billion merger with Skydance.
Oh my God.
So
that's exactly how it seems to be working. It's embarrassing because I've never been a Trump fan, but I used to be like, okay, he doesn't diddle little girls and he's nowhere near as corrupt as the Bidens. And I still don't think he diddles little girls, although I didn't look into the latest Epstein stuff. But yeah, like this corruption is just too much.
So back to airlines and planes and stuff. As we probably all remember, Qatar gave Mr. Trump a $400 million jet that he will use as Air Force One while president and plans to take with him after leaving office.
That's the rub, of course. I kept saying,
well, if it's give it to his library, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Okay, well, that would be a little better than just using it, but he'll probably use it for a while, or maybe the library will pay him for it. Like, you don't know how those deals are.
There'll be something there. For sure. Yeah, he doesn't.
I'm looking up the Truth Social stuff.
Mr. Trump seemed to acknowledge that the gift would influence his treatment of Qatar. We're, quote, we are going to protect this country, he said in Doha shortly after Qatar offered the plane. Mr. Trump has said he expects to transfer the plane to his presidential library after leaving office. So the Trumps have made at least $867 million through various cryptocurrencies.
Oh, interesting. And isn't that all about the media support? You know, it's
Yeah.
so easy to just generate that.
Mr. Trump's sale of crypto has been by far the biggest moneymaker. People who hope, oh, here we go. People who hope to influence federal policy, including foreigners, can buy his family's coins,
Yes.
effectively transferring money to the
Yes.
Trumps. And the deals are often secret. One that has become public, a UAE-backed investment firm announced plans last year to deposit $2 billion into a Trump firm 2 weeks before the president gave his country access to advanced chips. So there you go. There it is.
Yep. It's such a genius way. So with Obama, I used to wonder how he got rich, and it was all these continuing extremely high sales of his book. It's like, okay, so George Soros buys 1 million copies of his book every year and dumps them in the middle of the ocean or doesn't even take delivery. And I was just speculating. And then the mayor of Baltimore was actually, I think, tried and convicted of, or at least accused of, arrested for making like children's books and then selling them to all the libraries and the schools and everything. And that was how she got some payola. That's how they transfer the money. So I have here that Trump filed Trump's Truth Social files for his trust to sell up to 2.3 billion in stock. I think this was about a year ago, and I can't find any follow-up. Anyway, what you got here?
All right, let's no problem. Let's go to the next one. All told, Mr. Trump has profited from his return to the presidency by the amount of money equal to 16,822 times the median U.S. household income. So yeah, there you have it. So that was the previous article, and then now Trump's profiteering hits 4 billion. This is a more recent one.
It's so funny.
So yeah, it just keeps going.
I never want to. I remember I was no fan of George W. Bush, the younger one. I was never a fan of his, but he would get so beaten down by the media. And I remember thinking that it was so stupid that they focused on like popular vote versus electoral vote when nobody in Texas hardly even voted because everybody knew he was going to take Texas. So you could just add 10 million to the popular vote. You know what I mean? Like you can't, after the fact, talk about the popular vote when on a state-by-state basis, people stay home unless they're in a purple state a lot of times if you've got a big advantage. So I never liked that. So anything they would ever say that slammed Bush, I would just ignore it, even though I didn't like him, because they were so unfair to him. And that's the same thing with Trump. He's got a cult of personality. People are real fans of his. They're used to him being mistreated by the media. So it's very easy to ignore all that chatter and to think, well, he was rich anyway, or that's how he operates or whatever. That is the shield. That is his shield, is that it's so outrageous and people are so used to him being outrageous, but it's outrageous.
That's right.
It's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. So this article actually updates the numbers for us. So back to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So in August, we had 3.4 billion. So additional $100 million profit since August, but I'm sure it's way more than that. What else do we have here? World Liberty Financial.
That's one. That's the thing.
The
World Liberty Financial is the thing with the UAE guy.
Okay, there you go.
The spy sheik.
The spy sheik. So
I wonder if that article talks about the spy sheik, because they might not even realize that they're saying that's a big source of wealth. But that's the thing, is that he's just, these are like, let's make a deal kind of thing, which is his MO, but it doesn't look like outright bribery, but it's so obvious.
So here, I think, let's see what we got here. Last spring, a company owned by the rulers of the UAE bought $2 billion worth of USD1. The transaction raised alarms about the appearance of a payoff because the UAE was simultaneously seeking approval from the Trump administration to acquire sensitive American artificial intelligence technology. Trump soon granted that approval. The Emiratis immediately used the stablecoin to invest in Binance, the largest crypto exchange, which has its own interest in influencing Trump. So Binance has its own
Yeah, look at this
interest.
now.
There you
It
go.
says, yeah,
So
keep going.
in 2023, Binance's founder, Changpeng Zhao, known as CZ or CZ, pleaded pleaded guilty to violating anti-money laundering laws, served a brief prison sentence, and agreed to stop running the company. At the time of the $2 billion stablecoin payment from the UAE, he was petitioning Trump for a pardon.
Let's see if he got it. I'm going to look that up.
Binance, as the holder of the stablecoin, can determine how long World Liberty continues earning 4% a year on that $2 billion.
Yes, he got the pardon.
And he got the pardon. Thank you, Monica. Thank you very much.
In
so there
October.
you go. I mean,
Pardons are for sale.
would you expect that he didn't get the pardon with that much money changing hands? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And just stepping down from running the company, which I think Hunter Biden pulled this one too. It doesn't
do anything.
You still make all the money. You just don't have to show up for work. It's when you divest yourself or get your original investment back and forego all the gains that you would actually not be benefiting. They're happy to step down. They're happy to. And when they step down, the things probably tank. They take all their money off the table. That actually happened with Conrad Black. I don't think he got the money, but and also that guy Sklar that people didn't like who went to jail. Both of those guys, when they got arrested for and went to jail for bad fiduciary stuff against their shareholders, they had been making money for their shareholders. And when those guys were taken out of their companies, the shares tanked. That only then did the shareholders actually suffer. But so I feel like these guys who get taken out at the top benefit. I think Sklar and Black, I think, were screwed over, but this guy probably doesn't care. Hunter Biden didn't care.
I mean, yeah, Hunter Biden doesn't care about a lot.
I have had entire episodes on the corruption of the Bidens, and I hate to say it, I might have to start doing it for the Trumps, although I wouldn't be the only one.
It seems like as time passes, the more things advance, it seems like there's more like tech and cryptocurrencies and stuff, and I guess obviously the amount of pressure and influence you have makes a big difference. But the presidency obviously has a lot of influence. But I think as time passes and things upgrade, you have more opportunities to make more money, it seems. And Trump is like taking full advantage, right? He's releasing phones and watches, and when he first ran, it was like hats and ties and steaks and whatnot. But now it's just crazy.
I even think people don't look at, for example, commodities deals, a sovereign wealth fund. Like this stuff is not getting a lot of publicity. But not only are those outrageous things for the U.S. to be invested in, we don't have sovereign wealth. We have sovereign debt. There should not be. You cannot take that money and invest it in risky assets when you have debt. Like that's horrible, horrible husbandry and of assets, and also like buying commodities for the U.S. from Ukraine. Those things are bad enough, but nobody talks about the enormous fees that bankers get. I mean, they might be getting 7%, maybe more, and they probably get a carry also, which means they get a piece of the action. So they can get, whatever their fees up front, and then a piece of the deal, which doesn't even get taxed as income, and they get paid out 5 years later when it's increased greatly in value. And like, I believe that if that happened to me, and I think it did, like maybe when I was working, when you got it back, I believe it was taxed as ordinary income, or it should be, because it isn't a risk you're taking. You're given the money. You're given the it's called like the carry. I forget I used to really be enraged by it, and nobody's ever taken it away. But his cronies who are bankers are going to be making a lot of money for nothing with these terrible investments.
Interesting.
Or I should say unconstitutional investments.
So he's made an additional 136 million off of that. Let's see what's next. From appliance repair to cryptocurrency. Trumps have also received a windfall from World Liberty through a different form of crypto that it has sold digital governance tokens, which provide buyers a loosely defined right to vote on the company's future. Unlike stablecoin, these tokens carry no promise of redemption for any fixed amount of dollars. You can sell one for a price that rises or falls like a stock. Yet, unlike a stock, these digital tokens do not entitle a buyer to any equity in World Liberty, nor to any shares of its profits, raising many questions about why an investor might want to own them, other than for World Liberty's connection to the Trumps.
Yeah, it's just a conduit. The Truth Social thing, just to the angels, the AI tells us that they have not actually sold the shares. They just registered shares to be sold.
Okay.
And that's the first step in selling shares.
Yeah.
But that when he did that, it was $2 billion worth. Although at some point his stock in Truth Social was $7 billion, and that was completely made up. Like that
That's
is
gotta, I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
got to be inflated more than the freaking
Yeah.
Zeppelin.
I think the thing is worth. I think the thing operates at a loss. Like that's how little it makes. It's not
Like-
even meant to. It's just meant to get people to give him money because they like him.
And now there's these there's all these different substitutes, like I don't know if Threads is similar to that, but like Blue Sky. There was another one I saw that's like almost the exact same. And then even Substack, they've kind of copied X's format. So it's like, how much, how much can that really be worth? And I mean, like, where X is like, and other ones are kind of bipartisan in the sense where, like, well, if you like Trump or don't like Trump, you'll use it. But I mean, with True Social, if you don't like Trump, there's a good chance you might not use it. So
Yeah, it's just a fan club, probably. Who would even go there to be their central platform? You can't post on every single platform all the time. Why would you choose that one?
So he's made an additional 562 million from other crypto and whatnot. What's this? A bad bet on Bitcoin. The decline in the price of Bitcoin since August may have lowered his previous calculation of Trump's presidential profits at Trump Media and Technology Group, the parent company behind Truth Social. Although the social media platform has yet to demonstrate any profit, it has capitalized on the anomalously high share price by quietly selling large sums of stock to institutional investors who could flip it after a jump in its volatile price. By August, the company had used the proceeds to stockpile about $3.1 billion in cash and Bitcoin. Since the president then owned about 42% of Trump Media, it was previously estimated that his interest in those assets added about $1.3 billion to his presidential profiting. Judging from the amount of Bitcoin and cash on Trump Media's balance sheet in its most recent quarterly report, that number may have fallen by about 150 million to so the new number would be $1.15 billion. Even with that setback, though, the Trumps have made a net total of about 650 million from crypto since August alone, pushing his total gain since he first sought the presidency to more than $4 billion. So he's looking at over 4.2 billion, or sorry, billion, $4.2 billion. Yeah.
So I don't know what he's sold or not sold, but at one point, Truth Social was almost $100 a share, and now it's only $10 a share. So I assume, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't say that he's sold it, but I expected him to cash out when it was high, and it sounds like there may be some some things going on behind the scenes that will give him a backdoor out of that. I don't know how much,
Right.
but he'll be happy with $2 billion, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Unbelievable.
But I
Crazy.
think that's what his whole thing was. He wanted to set his kids up. He wanted to achieve that money, set them up, keep them insulated from being the villain that he agreed to play on TV. And I think that's how it's going to shake out. Because it's his son. Like Eric is the one with the UAE deal. Donald has his own stuff. I think it's funny that Donald Trump Jr. left his wife and 5 children for Gavin Newsom's ex-wife.
Right. Yeah.
President Newsom, I should say, because that's what I think the ICE thing is all about.
Okay. All right. Well, we're definitely going to get into that. But before we get into that, maybe we can, while we're on the subject of Trump, what are your thoughts on Greenland and everything that's going on with Greenland? What do you think, Monica?
So
let's get into that a little bit.
I couldn't figure out the Greenland thing because just like I think Trump or the Republicans or whatever, they're doing this ICE stuff in an election year to get Democrats votes. Like it's time to go back and be Democrats. Like the power elite make these decisions. That's where we're going. That's what that's all about. Similarly, NATO does not fight internally. So there's no way Trump is fighting with Canada or fighting with Denmark for Greenland. He's not threatening them in any way. There's something going on. And I thought at first that it was, I think I believe they're still in place. Like we have rights to Greenland. Like Greenland is probably virtually a territory of the US and was kind of a protectorate, maybe not in that word, but we have I think we still have rights there. We have had rights in the past. Like we could probably go in there and set up ports. I believe we have military bases there. But I thought, well, maybe it'll make waves. And so doing it this way by Trump being super belligerent about it, maybe we just kind of start exercising our rights under those treaties. But it looks like a win for Denmark because it's not like a total takeover. It's like, well, we agreed to let them have some bases, which they kind of had the right to anyway. We win.
Right.
We protected you. So I dug in a little bit and I thought, well, why don't we just go in and buy the ports? Why don't we just buy pieces of land and see how it goes? Private land ownership in Greenland is illegal. Not one person owns private land. Okay. So then I was like, okay, that's weird. So Denmark does own all of Greenland. That's weird. So the people of Greenland are majority, indigenous. So most of the people there we would call them Inuit. We used to be called Eskimos. They're whatever. Right. They're indigenous Greenland people. In 2024, so Trump first mentioned Greenland in August 2019. So maybe this has been bubbling up for a while. I don't know. But in February 2024, the people of Greenland expressed their desire to declare independence from Denmark, to work towards being independent from Denmark. Okay. But like a week ago, they asked Denmark to send military presence there. So I thought, oh, maybe this is just Trump's way, or whatever the powers that be's way of getting the indigenous people to re-accept the colonial status. They're a colony of Denmark. Oh, I hadn't even seen that. I just kind of was thinking. And then someone texted me or DM'd me, UNDRIP, this UN Indigenous People thing, comes with a lot of rights. So if they were to declare independence, and I think Russia was talking about this too, like we can just, not about the independence thing, but it's like China, Russia should be able to make arm's length transactions with Greenland for their rare earths and stuff. And they would be able to if they weren't a colony of a NATO country. But right now, they're a colony of a NATO country. So what does it say? March. Wait. Go back. Sure. People marched, waving signs. We stand with Greenland. Greenland is a partner, not a purchase. The indigenous people seemingly pitting a long-fought battle to assert their rights against a global push for power. Their tug of war by Trump is just colonization by different actors. Inuit, they call themselves Inuit, have had to figure out to maintain the society, culture, self-determination. Even though people want stuff from us, it was a past they thought they had left behind. We are on the precipice of further disrespect for our collective rights. Wow, this is such an interesting article.
Particularly concerning was the focus on Greenland's efforts to extract mineral wealth or create defense positions. That's the scariest part of the rhetoric that has been circulating, he said. I did believe we were beyond this central premise that if indigenous peoples do not improve our land based on the criteria of imperialist actors, that somehow we do not have self-determination. The decisions that are made about our land and what we want for it are ours alone.
I mean, I could go back, like I do. I think that the most interesting question for libertarians is, for anybody having any kind of political ideology, is what is the origin of the property rights for actual land? Like, it's a really serious question. And there's a libertarian kind of strain called Georgism, where they think that you can learn everything, you can own anything except for land. And I can understand that. I have opinions about that. We could talk about that if you want. But so I'm not necessarily saying that 100,000 people or 10,000 people or whatever it is that have lived there can assert ownership over a very large piece of land. I would have to like dig into it and try to understand the origin of property rights in different areas. Like, I mean, we're Western, so we think build a fence and plant some wheat and you own it if nobody else owned it already. You know,
right.
I don't know how you own a place collectively as a people who ice fish or whatever. Like, I don't know. But if I think the UN, the UNDRIP thing would say that they do own it, and they're going to have to agree to accept Denmark if we want them, if the West wants them to stand down in asserting their rights over those minerals, which is funny because, like, I think I like the way we do it, where you own your land like to the center of the earth, and it used to be to the stars. Like, you would own that piece of land. Like, a plane could not fly over your land without permission. That was the original way that we had property rights. But they didn't have planes, so they couldn't say that. But that's why you could like fight pollution and win.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And but other places don't do that. They say that they own their commodities collectively, and you know, I'm not going to judge them for that. But you know, what makes Greenland, you know, they own their own commodities. Yeah, they would have to, whatever the theory of private land ownership is. I would like it to be consistent, but you know, I guess they can just assert it. I just don't know. Yeah, what claim does Denmark have to the land? They didn't build a fence and plant wheat.
Okay.
But if everybody agrees it's Denmark's, if the Inuit agree and the Danish agree, then it is, and NATO's problem is solved. China and Russia are not going to get those rare earths. We are. So that was I thought that was unusual. I didn't see that article, but I mean, that's it seems like, because NATO is not at odds with itself. That isn't the way it works.
So I know you kind of started getting into it a bit. So just why don't you share your thoughts and beliefs on whether you can own land? And
yeah, I do, like, I accept and like the idea that you can come to unowned property and by improving it, own it. Then you have a couple of restrictions on that. So I think with America, it was kind of easier to do that because it was like, I mean, you have to talk about the Indian stuff, and we can, but it was more unowned than like England, where the feudal system probably involved, and Europe and stuff probably involved denying the people who had mixed their soil with the toil for generations from ownership of land. And then that's why I think you have socialism in Europe arising, whatever, 100 years ago, whatever, or more, because they knew there was no way to right that wrong. So they're like, okay, it's almost like a Georgist theory. It's like, you own all this land. So now you have to pay taxes and give us some handouts because you really kind of stole that land from us. Here, taking out the Indian thing, we don't have that type of thing where people built castles and fences hundreds of years ago and we can't even, aerate the land or whatever. With the Indians, you have to say, okay, there was 1 million American Indians in North America or in the territory of the United States. Is that like by what? How do you claim ownership over a vast tract of land when there's so few of you and you're not really, really using it? But then you have to go to like what George Washington and those guys were doing. They were speculating on land. They were absentee land owners. So, by that reckoning, does Warren Buffett really own the land he's not improving? Does the federal government own the land in the United States that they're not improving? Is just building a fence enough? I think there are real issues with that. So absentee ownership is an interesting concept to me, like that. So I think unowned land that you start farming is absolutely positively yours. And then if you can own land outside of that, to me, it's like an absentee ownership thing. It seems like if your technology is so primitive that you need hundreds of acres so that you can have bison that you run off of the end of a cliff, that doesn't seem, there seems to be no justification to allow that when you have 7 billion people on Earth. But the other thing, which I think is great, is there's a tradition in law, and it applies, it's been like written down, legislated, of it's called the rule against perpetuities, so that you really can't own land too far into the future after your death. You can't control it at all. Like you cannot make a will that says for 1,000 years, my descendants will own this, not allowed to sell this land. You can only control it up to like the last.
That would be wild, actually, because that could
see, that's the thing. Like that's why land ownership is possible. Is that back in the day in common law, they realized like dead people, there isn't enough land for dead people to own it. So even in Europe, where the families give out 99-year leases, and then at the end of 99 years, your descendants get that back, they have to kind of perpetuate that themselves. I think if they have the same laws that we have, you couldn't say, and then when you get the lease back, that person is required to do another night. You can't actually do that. But they pass down that intergenerational wisdom that they know you're not supposed to sell that land and blow it on hookers and casinos. Like you're supposed to just get the rent off that land forever and keep re-upping that. So because of the rule against perpetuities, I think that you can own land and it does work. Like you can see it in this country. It does work. Land changes hands and you can get rich or get poor. Like it's totally manageable. But I don't really believe in government land ownership, certainly not like to the extent the United States government owns it. I don't understand what right they have for that, although it's been true since the beginning in this country. But yeah, when it comes down to whether people can assert ownership over land that they cannot use, do not use, and cannot defend, I don't know, I just don't know. That's when it starts being like, I could see that's like a fundamental ideological question that I could listen to both sides of. And I think it might depend on the nature of it. Like water rights really depends on how dry the area is, how big the rivers are. Like if you're allowed to build a dam on your property and deprive the next guy of water, like it matters what kind of an environment it is. And the laws are different in different parts of the world, different parts of the country, based on the actual geological reality or whatever.
I don't know if you've seen this, but I think it's pertinent to what we're talking about, so I'll pull it up for entertainment purposes. Have you seen the Billie Eilish's recent statement?
Oh my gosh, no.
Okay. So here's a post that sums it up fairly well. So you cannot simultaneously believe that all borders are fake and should not be policed, and that land can be stolen. This is one of the most brain dead beliefs a person can hold.
That is Colin Wright is saying that she is saying
Yeah.
both of those things and that she can't.
Yeah.
Should we listen to what she said?
Oh, I'm gonna put it on. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just reading that for.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wouldn't tease you like that.
Thank you.
On stolen land. No one is illegal on stolen land. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter. And I say sorry.
And they're wearing the ice out pins too.
So, yeah. No, there was definitely a theme.
And now she's getting quite a bit of backlash.
Yeah, I mean, if you, that is the natural corollary of the claim that Israel has to Gaza, right? We were there first.
Right.
So
correct.
I always said that if that's the truth, then you got to clear out. But it's like with South Africa. Once you've, if you have relinquished the property or abandoned it or have been defeated and conquered, and then there's many generations after where the title is undisputed, and with reliance on having good title, you build a skyscraper. There are statutes of limitations on things like this for a reason, because you all of a sudden have reliance, and you've made investments on the good faith belief that you owned it. Now, if you had a good faith belief and you did not actually own it, you do usually, I think in law, lose it. So you would lose that. But after a certain amount of time, I don't think you can. And when it's clear that the real value of the thing is the thing that you built, I think there would be a way of like compensating you for the land. So if you look at South Africa, they could say, well, you took that land from us, that was worth $100 billion, and you built something on it that was worth $100 trillion.
Okay.
The people can say, well, I owe you $100 billion. I don't owe you the land, because the land now has $100 trillion worth of stuff on it. And if you look at the next land over without $100 trillion worth of stuff on it, it is still worth $100 billion.
Okay.
So like the value in the land is mostly what you did with it. There's a book called 2 Years Before the Mast, I think. Henry Dana, I believe. He went on a trip and he went to California, and it was still occupied by, I think it was Mexico. I think it was still owned by Mexico. And he said, this is paradise. This is the most developable land in the world. It's the coasts, the growability, the fertility of it, everything. This is an unbelievable waste that nobody's doing anything with this land. Then this was when he was a young man, like 20. Much later in his life, he went back to California after it had been conquered or taken over or bought by the US. I don't remember how it changed hands. And it was absolutely flourishing, prosperous, built upon. It was reaching its potential. And he's like, yeah, this is what it should have been. So, I mean, you have to think, do people have absolute perpetual rights to land collectively forever, even if they're going to not use it? Like, I mean, you have to try to understand God's will at that point.
Okay.
I mean, it's the most complicated problem there is in all of political ideology, in my opinion.
Okay.
I should probably read some books on it. Marcel Goutreau says you can read if you read 3 books on something, you pretty much get 90% of everything that you could possibly need to know. And I actually have the books. Like, I have all these libertarian books. I'm sure between Murray Rothbard and a few of these other guys, every possible argument about the origin of land ownership would be addressed. I wrote to Hans Hermann Hoppe about it once, and he said, just build a fence on it. I was like, okay.
Who's
Hans Hermann Hoppe, who's like the big anarcho-capitalist. And he wrote me back. Like, no, I couldn't imagine that he would write me back. And I said, I was in Peru, and there were these indigenous people who were living in the woods, and they always lived there, and they just basically killed the animals that walked in front of them. It was a very low intensity life. And then a factory or something came and built a fence around itself. And then the animals stopped being able to walk around. So these people like had
Okay.
no, and he said, well, they should just build their own fence. That's as good as they're going to get. I think he said that. But yeah, I mean, that was his position. Like, if you can build a fence around it and defend it and use the property, it should be true for everyone everywhere. I think that's a valid, an understandable argument. But I found with law school, unlike business school or math, law versus math, I'm so black and white and logic oriented, but really good jurists, judges over the years, like Solomon, King Solomon, they just understand nuances that aren't necessarily strictly black and white calculations. They understand nuances about human nature, and they can understand the impact that would have forever going forward, or they can just identify that salient point. And that's not my strength. I'm more mathy. So I recognize that there's a lot to that question that maybe I don't know, but I think I own my land. I'm not giving it back.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. I mean, where to next? Why don't we get into ice? Did you want to get into? Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's talk about the ice stuff. That's what she was talking about.
So there's been, there's been so much going on. There was the killing of Renee Good, and then days later, the killing of Alex Britti. There was and before all this, there was the ice was kind of hitting everywhere. That started over the summer, really ramping up. And then of course, there's the Nick Shirley video about the fraud that that highlighted the fraud that's been going on, that has been popped up in the news, but no one seems to really be doing much about it. And then now it seems like investigations are going full bore. Everyone's driving by Tim Wall's house calling him a retard. He's not running anymore. He looks like he's in hot water. He might get it's possible that he might get will get investigated, likely, and if not already, and might get charged. He could be involved in the fraud. There's the Ihan Omar. I don't know what's going on with her, but she seems to be well-to-do with a lot of money and a lot of questions to answer for. I don't know. Did you see that weird press conference where she had people are wondering if it was like a staged event where the guy sprayed her with
vinegar
or something with a syringe, and it turns out I forget. I don't know. She may or may not know him, but
I assume everything's staged.
She didn't clean herself off. She didn't show any concern. She wanted to continue the press conference immediately to show strength.
Fight.
Bananas.
I'm sure
and
the
rice.
Guy is not going to shoot me in the head because right? I know what's going to happen next. I'm sure that wasn't acid because I know it was vinegar.
Yeah. And then she's like, she didn't clean it off, and she continued to just like hug people after the event with it on her, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah. I remember seeing a picture of Obama hugging this nurse, the first person ever who had recovered from Ebola. And like within a couple of days, it was like, oh, so you're sure you know how this is going to go? Like, what the hell? Like, there's no way you're the one she's hugging. So the thing, I actually invented a term, or referred to a term I had invented, is this a trialectic? Because so Tim Walz was being investigated for corruption in Minnesota. That was like the news. And he announced, I believe, that he wasn't going to run for governor again. And he was Hillary's vice presidential candidate. So he's up there. What?
Kamala? Wasn't it Kamala's?
Kamala. Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry. Yes, it was recent.
Yeah.
Gosh, exactly, Hillary, it was a while ago. So he maybe he knows where bodies are buried. Maybe they owed him something, whatever. So what do? They initiate this massive psyop of ICE raids there. Now they already had that kind of thing here. This in LA, this is where it had started. Where all the that whole controversy started, and I felt that it was a violation of posse comitatus, because it will take a Republican to take
What
away
does
the
that
things.
mean?
Posse comitatus is that the feds are not allowed to enforce domestic law.
Domestic, okay.
And Trump's been skirting the edge with that. It was actually, I think, adjudicated that it was not that it was a violation of posse comitatus when he sent feds into LA, but he said it was only to protect federal property. And in DC, it's all federal property. And Memphis asked us to go. So he's always pushing the envelope on posse comitatus, which sucks because I like posse comitatus. But so in Minnesota, so they launched this big ICE thing, and really big, like killing people and get the whole country up in arms. I don't know if people really died. I don't look into that stuff. There are psyops. People can get hurt. Sometimes they don't. I don't know. I mean, yes, these people were reported to have died, and that would be terrible. But either way, in my opinion, it's a psyop, and it was launched to take the attention away from the corruption thing, in my opinion, as a favor to Tim Walz or even Ilhan Omar. So then in the newspaper, like 2 days ago, it said, oh, the ICE thing was such a debacle that Trump is now trying to redirect people's attention to an overblown corruption scandal in Minnesota. So now, to the extent that investigation or the corruption scandal or whatever is in the news, they get to say, this is just Trump's witch hunt to divert attention from him having messed up the ICE thing. So now that whole entire investigation looks purely like a witch hunt and not a real thing, which it looked like a real thing for a minute. And I was like, wow, how did they possibly get away with revealing actual corruption? Like, that's amazing. But I guess a private guy found it, and they, between the government and the media, they had to figure a way to not have it bite the people who they, want to protect.
Right.
So frightening me. Walz knew what?
Oh.
Let me go back.
Oh, it's just
Walz knew how the scam was run and could bring it national. Yes, I think they were in on it. Like, I think that Republicans and Democrats absolutely collude on all of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, now big part of because of, ICE is a big cause of it. But yeah, so now Minnesota is just like it seems like it's burning to the ground. Soon I feel like fires and more shit's gonna start. But
and isn't that
wild stuff?
The George Floyd thing happened?
Yeah, but it's just crazy. You have these anti-ICE people that are like, it's like an army. They have like an own private army. I don't know if have you seen the I don't know how real all the research or all the reporting is, but have you seen the if you've heard of Cam Higby? He released some stuff about signal groups, about showing all these different it's a group or groups in Minnesota, and they've labeled all the areas, and they enlist people to different jobs like medics or plate runners, drivers, whatever. And it's really like a resistance army. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm just going to add that to my list of agenda items they're serving, which is to anti-encryption stuff. Like, signal groups shouldn't be allowed to be private because they're going to cause a rebellion or something.
Right. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on, both the shootings in terms of what happened, but also in terms of, obviously both of these people were anti-ICE, whatever you want to call them, agitators, protesters, whatever. And I mean, they're getting in their faces and kind of interrupting law enforcement operations. And yeah, I mean, whether they like it or not, whether I like it or not, whether you like it or not, that's what they're doing, right? And I mean, I feel like they're probably some of the times they're probably taking away some like pretty bad people and like cleaning, cleaning up the streets in a sense,
That's a big part of this, is that
right?
it's
So
one of those things where, as Trump would say, there are good people on both sides. It
yeah,
has to be
right.
a very serious wedge issue. So is the answer like that? Is the answer open borders? So on the one hand, if you have any sense at all, you realize, even though I absolutely believe in the right to work and travel, I'm a libertarian. We have a welfare state. We have a lot of things and we've made sure that the rest of the world is less prosperous than it otherwise would be. The way we deal with physical and fiscal terrorism, we impart terrorism. We control other governments. We cause wars in other places. So the US is an oasis. We're always shielded. So everybody's going to want to come in here for physical and fiscal security. Everyone's going to want to come in here, and we have a welfare, safety net and everything. You can't have open borders because we have this weird empire. It's just, if you had open borders, it would be completely overrun. So does that mean that you have to support what ICE is doing? And what ICE is doing is extremely ham-handed. It's very divisive. Why not just deport people the way Obama did? Like, people to this day don't even know how many people he deported.
Yeah.
I mean, just do it in a sane way. Get a sane policy. Like, why is there no sane policy? It's in order to be incredibly divisive and to have the flexibility at the top to do what they want with immigration, to use it. It's like, I guess, the new abortion, like to just use it the way they want to use it. And then it has so many implications, and it really gets the Republicans, who used to probably be a constitutional Bill of Rights faction, which they were, especially under Obama when they were against him. But now they do say things like, don't bring guns to a protest. Okay, but a protest is over federal overreach. You are dealing with a violation of posse comitatus. If ever there was a time to bring a gun locally, if you're going to have, I should rephrase that, if you're going to have a rebellion, if you're going to have a revolution against an unconstitutional federal government, that's when you're going to have to be able to defend yourself with in like manner as what they have. So, but you have Republicans saying that Alex Preddy shouldn't have been there with that. The ID surveillance,
Right.
that stuff's going to come in with Republican support. And like I said, the thing about the signal thing, saying, all right, you can't have encryption, Republican support. The posse comitatus should be a thing that Republicans defend, but they haven't. And I mean, biometric stuff like that. A lot of these, it's just the service. Also, don't forget, yes, we're going to have an election, and the Democrats have people's sympathy. It's an issue like transgender kid stuff, where you're just going to get people who are, I don't know whether I want Republicans or Democrats to say, this is a single issue for me. Like, they're obviously out of control, so we have to vote them out. They are out of control because transgender kids vote Republican. They are out of control because ICE vote Democrat. And I think this is just handing Newsom the central issue of his presidential campaign.
Interesting. Oh, I actually live very close to Minnesota and Minneapolis. It's about the border's like less than an hour from here, and
Really?
then from there it's like less than probably 3 hours, maybe, give or take, depending on the conditions, to Minneapolis. So yeah, I used to go there all the time, actually. So the thought of like what's going on there now is just scary. It's scary.
Yeah, I always thought it
Um,
was the craziest place for Somalians to live. Like,
yeah,
obviously, there's
yeah.
no border
That is
between
nice.
Minnesota and Somalia. Like, they're being brought in, they're being fostered. And what could be more different about the culture and the climate and everything? Like, it would be the last place that you would think Somalians would want to go. And Minnesota, being kind of remote, interior state, maybe would be a refuge, a last place where Americans who don't like the super diverse coastal areas want to go, but they can't. There's no, I think that this kind of immigration is orchestrated from the top. Like, look at Sweden is kind of a similar thing. There's a lot of
Okay.
Somalians in Sweden and
Okay.
Iraqis. Yeah. And I think it's for the culture clash because they have a civil war on their border. Ukraine is right near Sweden, and they would have less of a culture clash, I think, with Ukrainian refugees than Iraqi. But they have that. But in Sweden, they say the immigrant population and the children of the immigrants commit most of the crimes. And I don't know if they're getting the poorest ones or what, but it's very disruptive, and I think it's intentional.
Hmm. Crazy. Yeah, yeah. It's just. I mean, just on its face, it's an interesting thought. Like, why are these people grouped here, and why are these people, So, yeah, that's an interesting point to make.
Frightening Me has a good comment about the Koudenhoven Kalergi. Is that how you pronounce it? Plan imported from Europe and Cloward Piven. So the Kalergi plan was about a lot of mixing with the immigration. I forget what his purpose was, except for maybe just to make himself feel better because he was a mixed race person who wasn't happy about it. And Cloward Piven is where they want to overtax the welfare state so the whole system collapses, and then you have kind of publicly owned everything, communism.
Hmm.
I mean, they certainly seem to be wanting Cloward Piven type stuff here. I had a social worker ask me recently if we needed a 24-hour live-in to take care of my son who has Down syndrome, and I was like, definitely not. And how could you possibly? It's definitely going to bankrupt the system if that's what you're offering.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's yeah.
Banhammer is saying Somalis are brought to Maine as well. I was in Vermont recently, and I hate to say this out loud, but I feel like it's already underway. I'd wondered for a long time how they were going to hit Vermont because I believe Vermont has the lowest murder rate in the country and the loosest gun laws. So the best gun ownership laws, even though it's a super liberal place, but it's the woods and stuff. You need your guns. And I thought, how are they going to do it? What PSYOP? And then I went up there recently, and this coffee shop run by the loveliest people. They were so sweet, and I think they were Kenyan. And I was talking to them. I think it's Kenya, just like massive immigration from Kenya up there. And I'm like, that's fine. And I hope that you bring great coffee and integrate well. But when you start getting deeper into, well, let's start getting, people in jail in Kenya to immigrate to Vermont, because that's how devious I think the immigration stuff is. The human rights industry, they'll get the poorest, most, traumatized people from this country that could not have more of a culture clash. And you bring them to Vermont where they're probably not used to a culture like that. Very low homicide rate, but very easy guns to get. I mean, you're asking for trouble. And I hate to say out loud that I do expect trouble.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think it's also wild that Walls had the flag changed like that.
Oh, I don't know about this. Tell me.
Oh no. Well, that's the Somali flag, and with the star in the middle, and yeah, the other one.
Why would they have a star, an 8-pointed star in Minnesota? Like, that's just not at all in the history of Minnesota. Let's look.
I don't know. I mean, I think I get what they're doing with the shape on the flag, because it's kind of like the shape of Minnesota, right? Yeah, I mean, kind of.
That's fucking crazy. They said it represents the North Star, but
Oh, like,
what?
oh, okay.
It says there is such a design on the floor of the Rotunda of Minnesota.
Okay.
Now let's see what the Somali flag looks like.
Oh, look at wow. Look at the flag, the Somali flag from 2015 to present.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that looks so much like um
So
like
what's weird is the Somali flag, though, has a regular star that would have
right.
looked better for Minnesota. The 8-pointed star makes no sense to me. And if it was the North Star, you would think that the north, south, east, and west would be extended, not even.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It looks more like the 12-pointed star of Islam.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. That's kind of what I see. So I don't know. So that's another interesting thing.
They
So
probably do stuff like that just to make you crazy.
and on another show, I pulled out an article. We were showing how ICE is just stocked out. They're loaded up on weaponry. Like they have these huge guns, big suppressors, silencers, special lasers, specialty clips. They have like drop bags to pick up spent shells. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's literally like Call of Duty. You're just going at it in the streets. It's wild, and that actually reminds me of. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. This is kind of what kids are. Yeah, here we go. Kids are sharing. Or sorry, the kids thought about this kind of stuff.
Heavy.
The game Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't play it, but here's what they're doing on Roblox.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. Like it's beyond just messing around. Like they are doing a lot of things, it seems to me, that are changing the face of the lower income earner in this country. So they're getting rid of unskilled labor through the ICE stuff. They're increasing tariffs, which means that we have to, on the margin, you buy more things made domestically. Trump has been touting returning manufacturing to here. These, I forget who I was telling, but I think that as I see layoff after layoff announced in the newspaper, like despite what seems to be good earnings, and they're saying it's a good economy, even though there's tons of layoffs. And at the bottom of every article, the layoffs, it will say, are in part because of automation. And I think they're maybe trying to free up jobs for all the people who are going to get laid off, give them these menial jobs while they slide AI in.
Damn, man.
I mean, you could roll out robots to do it all, but like for a while, you want to keep people from rioting.
You want to do it too quick, right?
Yeah. So until everyone can die off from the, whatever, nanobots, whatever they're injecting us with.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look at this one too. There are people in, I don't know if this is Japan. I don't know. I have no idea what this is, but people are cosplaying as ICE agents.
Oh my gosh.
I applied to be an ICE agent last night. I'm ready to make a difference for Americans in the United States of America. She looks like she's probably like an OnlyFans girl or something.
Yeah, let's see what
she already makes
underneath all that.
So But yeah. I mean, to sum up the ice thing, it's crazy. It's a war zone. I mean, Greg Bavino got the can. I guess he's the head leader of ice,
yeah.
so to speak. What's her name?
Bondi.
Gnome is might be
on
on
the
the
rocks.
might be on the chopping block. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I figured she was meant to be a sacrificial wolf at some point.
It's taken a while. So
yeah. So those are my thoughts on ice.
And then now there's all these statements like don't like you can't like with the Alex Pretty thing. He was carrying a gun, and so like pro-gun people are pushing back, and it's like, well, he had a permit and he's allowed to carry a gun, and I forget who said it. Someone made a statement like, don't show it's a federal, or sorry, it's against the law to walk around DC with a gun or something like that. And it's just crazy, like some of the justifications they're trying to make, or some of the statements they're trying to make to justify the stuff that's going on. It's unbelievable. So but yeah, let's jump into the Epstein files a little bit.
You have to tell me about this, because I stopped paying attention to that a long time ago because I think it's a massive distraction.
We'll talk about
Elon
Musk. We'll talk about Elon Musk really quick, and then that'll leeway us into the Epstein files. So Musk, I don't know if you've heard, his ex-offices were raided in Paris, and he's been summoned for an interview. He's getting into a lot of shit over X and Grok, these nude images, stuff like that. Here's an article that helps kind of sum it up. So what you need to know about Grok and the controversy surrounding it. So the deep fake nudes, obviously that's huge. Have you been hearing about that? About how people are showing pictures and getting Grok to undress them?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
Right?
Pardon me?
That was very predictable. So
yeah, absolutely.
Happening and it wasn't guarded against. That was also intentional.
And I think there's been about I forget the timeline, but over the past few months or something, there's been like over 4 million of these images made, and I think 23,000. I don't know if it's 23,000 or 223,000 of them have been children, which is just,
See, that is easily made not possible. You could easily make that would absolutely be something that was
23,000. It was 23,000. Yeah. There's got to be something you could do.
They should. I mean, I would think that there would just be you can't make people nude. No nude children, no nudity for someone who's a real person, and that's it. I mean, it's easy.
Right.
I just did it. That's how you code it.
Nice. Here's another. Let's pull this one up. Oh shit, what's going on here? I'm sorry, I'm having problems here. There we go. So now Malaysia is obviously throwing him in hot water as well. Malaysia will take legal action against Musk's X and XAI over misuse of Grok chatbot. So same stuff basically. But another thing that they're having problems with is the anti-Semitism.
Do tell.
What do we got here? Do you remember Meta Hitler from like a few months ago? Yeah.
I mean, maybe I do. I don't know.
Quite a bit of like anti-Semitic stuff.
Yeah.
But here, what do we got here? Grok was forced to reverse course after it appeared to make anti-Semitic posts, including comments that praised Hitler, saying it was taking down inappropriate posts. The chatbot Grok shared several anti-Semitic posts, including the trope that Jews run Hollywood, and denied that such a stance could be described as Nazism.
Isn't there a book called How the Jews Created Hollywood, written by a Jewish guy?
Oh, probably.
I think Gary Oldman got in trouble for talking about that, and he's like, "No, really, it's like on the best."
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you. But here, the whole point of doing that all is as a, it's called An Empire of Their Own. How the Jews Invented Hollywood. It's a 1988 nonfiction book whose topic is the career of several prominent Jewish film producer, and it's written by Neil Gabler.
Sorry, Neil who?
Gabler, Gabler. This is a completely legit book. But my point is that it goes to my sacrificial wolf thing. They can create something super offensive and then say, so I just suggested censorship against kids, naked kids, and putting naked bodies on people whose faces are known, right? So I just created censorship based on that controversy. I fell into that trap. And I like some kind of censorship. I think, my kids shouldn't get bombarded with My Little Pony porn when they're trying to watch YouTube. Like, I don't like it.
Right.
And you should be able to control it pretty easily because it would be easy to control. But once you start with the Hitler stuff, you're talking about political speech. And, I mean, I think there should be, I think it would be very easy to have controls on, like, parental controls, because that's what I always wanted. And YouTube, for example, will not allow you to use them. So I have a son who has Down syndrome, and I wanted to be able to control, like, he shouldn't have anything that's inappropriate for people under 18 or something like that, or 13. But you really can't put those controls on, but you should be able to. But the reason they don't want you to be able to control it personally is so that they can make laws that controls it for everyone. It's just like the border. If you have strict private property rights, you wouldn't need to care who can come across the border of Mexico and the US, because you can control your own borders. If you could control your own YouTube for your own kid, that stuff wouldn't be necessary. But it should be easy to control this stuff from your own screens, and then you don't have to have laws. But they're setting it up so that they can have laws and make demands and blah blah blah. Sometimes I think they arrest these guys, especially in France. There was a guy who got arrested a while back, so they can have a private conversation. Like, he's not really being arrested. He's just having a conversation that isn't over the airwaves. A collaboration more than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting.
I don't need a book on it. It's obvious. Epstein, blatant distractions. Yeah, they want to control it so they can choose what your kids watch. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The control. I mean, yeah. It's control behind every freaking door, right? It's just interesting how the ties always come back to these same similar people. I don't mean.
And you can't control it yourself. Like, that's the thing.
Right?
You cannot control it yourself. You are not permitted to control it yourself. So yes, do you not watch anything? Do you? Yeah. But they also go out of their way to make it impossible for you to function. Like, think about the whole lockdown thing. For a year and a half, like, your kids had to have Zoom. Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Could you cut them off? But that's the other thing. You can cut yourself off from it. You can assert yourself, and people can tell me, well, what are you using an iPhone for anyway? But when you do that, it's called the Benedict option in Catholicism. When you do that, you have opted out for yourself and for your kids any ability to participate in the world that your parents built. Like, you have to, all the surplus productivity, all the wealth, everything, all the technological advancements that are great, you're just walking away and growing chickens. It's like, okay, you could control your situation, but that in itself is an injustice. And if you can't fix the injustices, Do you have to abandon? It's like my thing about libertarians. They die by the sword, but they don't live by it. And these are real serious questions. These aren't like, I'm blah, blah, blah. Just do it this way. There's no just about it. Like these are serious questions you have to think about. And it's unjust, honestly. And I would even tolerate it all if I thought they were all built on private platforms by private money that responded to supply and demand and the marginal value and productivity of labor versus capital and all of that. But it isn't. It's US government subsidized, probably other governments too, fostered through research grants at universities and stuff. I mean, it's completely controlled at our expense and against us, not to our benefit. So, yeah, it's just a fundamental injustice, and we have to think about how we want to deal with it individually, I guess.
Mm.
But we could deal with it individually if they didn't prevent it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. As always, you have a really good good point. So anyways, so yeah, Musk is like, obviously he's going through a lot of shit, and now he's officially in the Epstein files. So let's see, where should we start here? So it's interesting. I found this site where it's like whoever did it, they made it into like a Gmail account, and it's almost like you're using Jeffrey Epstein's email. It's cool. So so here from Elon Musk asking about the party. What day and night will be the wildest party on your island? So he's asking about, he wants to come party, wildest party on the island. And then there's another one that says, he literally says, a quiet vacation experience is exactly what I'm not looking for. I've been busy with what's going on with whatever he was doing, and so yeah, that's one thing. And now he's trying to say that his messages or his emails with Epstein are being misinterpreted, and I think he even alluded to the thought that now the files don't matter. We just need to prosecute those that did wrong. So yeah, he's definitely kind of flopping around a little bit, like a bit of an eel.
Was there something in there of like George Bush and dismembered babies or something? Like, it's getting
There's so
somewhere.
much, Monica.
How
crazy.
Can there be so much? It's like Edward Snowden. We just never stopped. The revelations never stopped. Like, how much did he get out on a thumbnail and 2 laptops? Like, and and nothing that wasn't already revealed. Like, it's just this endless trove of documents is obviously not real. I mean, it's just.
You think none of these documents are real?
I'm not saying none of them is real. I'm saying the endless trove, millions of documents. I mean, do you, I mean, maybe you do. Do you have millions of emails that you personally looked at? That you personally wrote? Millions?
Well, they're not all
They're
not all emails, and they're not all his emails. Right?
Okay. I just feel like when you get to those kind of numbers,
it's not like the Epstein files. It's not like under emails. It's like, okay, all of Jeffrey's emails. It's like emails between Jeffrey. There's probably Ghislaine's emails. Some of Ghislaine's emails are probably in there. There's emails between there's emails between people that and Epstein's not involved. He might be CC'd or he might pop in later, but yeah, they're not all his emails. So
okay, it says the files include investigative documents, photos, emails released by the U.S. Department of Justice following a congressional mandate for transparency. Okay, I mean, then I would have to say a lot of it is totally marginal. If you are talking about millions of documents, I don't know. I just feel like the little black book was pretty much had it all. If you're not going to, and the guy who gave up the little black book went to jail and for longer than Epstein did and died shortly thereafter. So And I just feel like that little black book, like what really happened to the people who were in that little black book? Not much. So
Yeah,
beyond
well,
that,
I mean,
how deep do you need to
well,
go
what does it
to
mean
say
if you're in a
nothing's
book?
gonna
What
happen?
evidence is that, right? I mean, you need more than that. So,
But what happened to anybody and what's gonna happen to anybody? Like, why is this I agree with one of the I think we talked about this, one of the commenters. It's like Pizzagate 2.0. Like there may be truth in it, but what came of it? What came of it except for us all agreeing to like let it slide, implicitly.
Well, I think there's a lot more evidence coming out that kind of is confirming some of these like Pizzagate related conspiracies.
But I mean, and the Virginia Giuffre stuff, like the Virginia Roberts death and posthumous release of a video where she said, if I'm dead, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that seems like a psyop to me, And if we're getting sucked into that, it's one of those things, just like Pizzagate, where you can spend a lot of time trying to suss it out within this like sphere that's off to the side from anything that is going to happen. There aren't 60,000 indictments. There's no, trust the plan. There's nothing is going to happen. We are going to have a war with Iran though. And we haven't even talked about that. And that's the biggest thing that is going to happen.
So should we continue or do you want to talk about Iran?
Well,
kind of put me on the spot here. You told me to tell you about the Epstein files, but
yeah.
Let's get into Iran then. No, let's talk about Iran if you'd like.
I wasn't being critical at all of you telling me about it. The reason I don't pay attention to it. Yes, that's true.
I'll run through a few quick things and
ahead.
then you can talk about Iran and then we'll wrap up. How's that sound?
Yeah, I don't have much to say about Iran, but you got, that sounds perfect. You tell me the Epstein stuff.
Try to pull some of the more interesting bits. I mean, there's so many photos, a lot of videos. One interesting thing was the let's pull that up. The Epstein interview with Steve Bannon. It's like a two hour interview. We can probably get it on YouTube now. With
what year was it
between Steve Bannon? I'm not 100% sure. It might be around like 2011 or something like that. But it's quite interesting. Oh, here we go. Here it is.
Face to face.
Before we get into the deep stuff, let's give some basics, some things I want to do inquire from the others. Walk me through the Santa Fe Institute. What was it about the time of the math? And this was in the.
So it's interesting. Like they sit down for 2 hours and he's just questioning about all sorts of stuff. I haven't watched the whole thing.
Yep.
But I mean, people say there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. He just mentions a lot of different stuff. And at one point he's talking about the Rothschilds and
wow. What year was it from?
Let's see. Let's see if we can get that.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's really dead, Jeffrey Epstein.
Right? Yeah. So that's an interesting thing. It'd be interesting to go through all the videos. I mean, there's just so much stuff, right? Another 2018.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I thought it would have been like 2011 or something like that. But.
Says this article recorded interview between Epstein and Bannon filmed between 2018 and early 2019. The interview occurred after Epstein's 2008 conviction, but before his 2019 federal arrest. So it says 2018, 2019 at Epstein Wiki.
Okay.
I'm not sure who is Epstein Wiki. Interesting.
Another person who I hope will fucking be questioned and investigated. Andrew, formerly known as Prince. All these photos with him, overtowering this what looks like to be possibly a young girl. She looks pretty small. Yeah, just disgusting. What's his name, Starmer or whatever in the UK? He's called Andrew to like go and be questioned. Speaking of questioning, the Clintons have finally agreed to be questioned as well, to testify. So that'll be interesting.
Yep.
They were holding off for a while there, to the point where they were almost, held in contempt. I don't know, if they were just going to concede anyways. I don't know why they had to pull that bullshit, but
right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Stalling taxes. They're so freaking old that.
Yeah, they're so goddamn old. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, what's going to happen? I don't know, but I mean, you got to try to be optimistic. It's good to see that at least there's a couple people in proper places that are trying to make this happen. I mean, I don't necessarily trust anyone as far as I can throw them when it comes to politicians, but I mean, investigations are happening, things are being released. So I don't know. We'll see. I know it sounds like easy to say, like, oh, stuff's being released, but I mean, yeah, we're finally getting quite a bit of it. Hopefully, people just being as fed up as they are is going to lead to well, it's led to this anyways. So hopefully this will lead to more good things. But it's crazy, some of the stuff that is coming out. Another big one was Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He's planning to go to the island. Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein talking about how Bill Gates caught STDs from Russian hookers, and he asked Epstein, I believe, to help him get medication so that he can slip it to Melinda Gates without her knowing.
What year was that? He was still sleeping with Melinda. That seemed like
2013.
All right.
What else? Where'd it go?
I was wondering about that George H.W. Bush stuff, but I didn't see it. I can't find it easily. So.
And also with Prince Andrew, he's talking about like inviting Epstein to Buckingham Palace and like ensuring him that there will be privacy for them to, do their dirty shit that they do, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting telling stuff. There's just so much friggin' stuff, right? What's this one here? Oops. Sickening Jeffrey Epstein autopsy photos reveal staggering neck injuries. Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy report document extensive neck injuries, including shattered bones, after the convicted sex offender was found dead in Manhattan prison cell in August 2019. So it's just a tranche of stuff, right? But what's this? But hopefully there's obviously there are people that are kind of putting it together. So it'll be interesting to once we get more of a congruent look at what's actually going on in these documents, right? But yeah, I mean, needless to say, there's a lot of big releases, a lot of documents. And
do you think Epstein is alive or dead?
He's alive? It's obviously totally possible, right?
Yeah.
And the more that these documents come out, and the more that I see how connected he was and how casually connected he was to so many fucking people. I mean, this guy is technically like the most famous person in the world. Like,
Yeah.
Everyone, fucking Mick Jagger, magicians, fucking sports people, rock stars, not to mention like scientists, mathematicians, geniuses, politicians, everyone, not to mention like models and all the girls he was abusing too. So he's the most famous / infamous person in the world. So I mean,
Well, you'd have to do a lot of plastic surgery.
it's possible. I
just always
mean,
think of Elaine's father. He just fell off a boat and disappeared,
right,
and that was that.
right.
Like,
Like, let's give him the old Robert
maybe.
Maxwell treatment, right?
What happens when you're in jail and don't want to be? What if I were dead? And I wouldn't be in jail anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. You really never know. It's hard to
I
tell.
mean,
but-
maybe they say to you, like, I read a book about Timothy McVeigh, like, until he was literally
Okay.
strapped onto the gurney, he thought they were going to rescue him and he was not going to be executed. And I think he was executed, but he thought that it was
he
all fake.
thought, wow. Ooh,
He
that's-
wouldn't really fess up about what happened because he thought they were
He thought,
gonna take
yeah,
care
he thought that he was fulfilling his part
Yeah.
of the bargain because he
Yeah.
thought that they were going to fulfill theirs.
Weird.
Crazy. So yeah, I mean, to long story short, the Epstein files are just just dumping out like crazy. So
I mean, I assume most of the people who will get attention are the has-beens, like Clinton. The Clintons are done. There's no political purpose for them. They're probably too old
Yeah.
to really end up in jail. And Lutnick, he's younger and current, so that would be something that's. No, but like Bill Gates, his marriage is over already, so it's not really that impactful there. I just feel like they have to throw some meat into the pit every once in a while.
Right. Another thing, just to my point about him being, connected to everyone, I feel there's another picture that came out of him at the Edge Billionaires Dinner in 2011. Elon Musk is there, so he was there with Musk. They don't have his photo on the website here, Jeff Bezos, but where is it? Here we go. If you look up this guy, Zach, there he is. Oh,
interesting.
Anyways, yeah, there he is, right there. In the
like
back
Elaine at Chelsea's wedding.
So, yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah,
the
in the background. Oh, wait, who's
that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. Well,
I
okay.
mean,
Well,
I'll believe it matters when I see it mattering.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
But thank you very much.
Right now, it's just spicy tea, right?
Yeah, that was super helpful because then I don't have to look into it myself. So thank you.
Well, there you go.
I need to be informed. Current events are important, but
yeah,
not if they take too much time.
Yeah, not if they take years and fucking years to unfold. Okay, before we wrap up, I know we got to get going soon, so let's talk about Iran for a couple of minutes. The Ayatollah is apparently in hiding. He moved underground over a week ago. I don't know if he's still there. Trump's saying that time's running out for a nuclear deal. I think last week Iran deployed an army of over 1,000 drones. Aircraft carrier and warships arrived in the Middle East last week. The U.S. has warned Iran over planned military drills. And I think Israel also made threats to, or made another call about a strike. And I think Iran made threats to the U.S. and Israel recently as well. So they're kind of at each other's throat, and things are kind of ready to pop off. So what do you think, Monica? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think's going on? What are your thoughts on the situation?
Well, Iran, like Venezuela, is one of those places that we've been saying for the longest time that we need to have regime change and never seem to be able to affect it. And now anything is possible, it seems like. I actually think COVID proved that there's absolutely nothing that we can do about anything. So I'm not super black belt. I don't think that I mean, I guess there are certain limits to what we will tolerate, but I think they know if they want to come in and there's no reputational cost to the two-party system to have Trump do it because he's considered outside the system. And so he'll do it and he'll be brash about it and everybody will hate him for it and he can go down with the ship, but it really won't destroy the two-party system. So I think that's why he'll just start this thing with Venezuela and similarly this thing with Iran. But I think Venezuela was quite telling and something that I had been suspecting about Iran for a while. So they went into Venezuela. They obviously had to deal with Maduro. And Trump, like a week before, had said, "Hey, I'll get you and your wife out if you just cooperate." And lo and behold, he got them out. They're fine. Who knows what trial or cushy prison or whatever is going to happen there. But that guy, Maduro's vice president, is the president now. So there was no regime change. It's just cooperation. And it's mainly, I'm sure, whatever optics they've had to bring in is mainly to suppress the population that would object to this. Similarly with Syria, like they completely took out the legitimate government of Syria. And when they bomb it, they're calling it ISIS, but a lot of it's probably just the resistance of the people not wanting to have foreign invaders. With Iran, I've mentioned this before, I really smelled a rat when Trump murdered or ordered the murder of Soleimani, who was a really popular general there, I think. And I think it's true that millions of people came out onto the street to mourn this guy. And I thought, wow, I bet he's an Iranian for the Iranians. Like he's probably an actual Iranian. And at the time, I think Rouhani was the president. And I looked into it and Rouhani had gotten his PhD at the University of like someplace in Scotland. His PhD advisor, I forget that guy's name, but that guy in turn had a PhD advisor who was in charge of the Lockerbie, like analyzing the Lockerbie trial where they railroaded the Libyan guy for a CIA job. So there was like 2 degrees of separation from Rouhani to this like serious MI6 operation. And I was like, okay, so they have some people in Iran at the upper echelons in their pocket. Soleimani is probably not one of them, which is why they murdered him. And they've murdered other Iranians, like, a helicopter crash. Like, I think they've been taking out loyalists for a while and subverting other people. And so I think the plan is to do another kind of regime change like that. Now, part of the plan may be to bomb Iran a lot, like Syria and Iraq and stuff, soften the population, maybe do Ukraine stuff where they're going to usher in like a couple of levels up of new kinds of like digital surveillance state kind of thing. Like who knows what the plan is for Iran. But I feel like they're even doing Venezuela when they did was maybe about shoring up oil for any disruption over there. But I think things are more sewn up at the top than we're led to believe. And I think things like ICE are meant to get us distracted. And it's just unbelievable because the people I know who voted for Trump were single issue voters. They wanted our involvement in Ukraine to end. And boy, they did not get, they just got the same peace president that everyone's always voted for. We're voting for the president who wants peace. And what do you get?
Don't get peace. That's for damn sure. It was funny how he was like pushing for peace and like people were like, he's going for that Nobel Peace Prize. And it's just like, what?
I know. And it's like, now that you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm just going to blow everyone up.
I'm just going to kill everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to, and they act like this guy is his personality. He's got whims and stuff. I mean, it's not. It's a carefully crafted image of a face job, an actor, a reality show actor. Politicians are actors. They're, DC is Hollywood for ugly people or whatever. And somebody's telling him what to do and he's doing it. He's doing what he's told to do. And he is proud of himself. Like he is accomplishing his mission, which is to set his children up to leave a legacy of billions of dollars, to have been president, to, you know, maybe have bluster and stuff, but the actual policies and their impacts are absolutely controlled from abroad. And we see what's coming. Because he's literally in the Actors Guild, and he was the wrestler.
Right.
He was the wrestling
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fucking character for sure. Man.
Yeah, these guys
Well,
on the chat are talking about World War III and China getting involved.
I know,
You
yeah.
know, I
We
never
don't
know
have
where
time
that.
for that, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know where that stuff starts or ends either, because everybody totally got on board with COVID, and everybody's getting on board with digital currency, and I think they just, you know, they'll probably divide the world up into three in anticipation of ultimately zipping it all up into world government. But in the meanwhile, like, the regional hegemons have to be really controlling their regions.
Right. Wild world. Wild, wild west. Wild, wild world. Monica, this was a
Yes.
fucking wonderful time, as always.
Super fun.
I
I was worried I was not prepared fully, but we
No,
had
no,
plenty
it's
to
been
talk
great to
about.
see you, and this was great. It's great to just
Super
shoot the
fun.
shit, update each other on what's going on, fill each other in a little bit.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's been great, and I hope you'll come back. Before you go, please let everyone know where they can find you.
Thank you for asking. I'm Monica Perez Show pretty much everywhere. I think I'm transitioning from Twitter to Substack because I'm
Okay.
so shadow banned on Twitter that I have nobody to
Oh.
talk to over there. So I mean, I knew when I asked, like, what's your favorite Christmas movie, and got not a single view, heart, or answer, I was like, okay,
Oh, really?
I don't even exist.
That's
Because that is the
controversial.
easiest question you could ever ask somebody. Nothing. I was like, okay,
Controversial.
I got to get out of here. So when I post on Substack, people are, you know, I do get to actually have a chat. So find me on Substack at Monica Perez Show. MonicaPerezShow.com. I probably have 1,000 archived shows, or old shows, not even archived, and just on your favorite podcasting platform. And lately we've been reading Our Enemy, the State by Albert J. Nock, which is a libertarian staple and one of my favorites of all time. So I'm doing that actually in about an hour and a half right here on YouTube. And I love it because we chat about it and stuff. So that's a fun thing I'm going to do today.
Cool. Right on. Well, thanks again for being here, Monica. Again, we'll definitely have to bring you back for another chat. Take care. Thanks to everyone in the audience, all the listeners, viewers, people in the chat. Thanks for supporting the show. Please, if you haven't already, please go and subscribe to the Divulgence Podcast. You can get me on YouTube. We're also on Rumble. If you want to listen audio, you can get us on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And social media, you can get us on X at Divulgence Pod. And I think we're going to jump back on Instagram soon, so stay tuned for that. Another thing, I was going to, I'll announce it at a later date at another show, but I'll just tell you guys now. I've become an affiliate with Scott Horton and the Scott Horton Academy. He started an academy with courses. He brings in other teachers and stuff, and he obviously, you've seen Scott on the show. If you've read his books or seen any of his podcasts or videos, you know that he's a legend, man. He great debater, great researcher, great writer. Yeah, if you want to learn about war, foreign policy, Middle East, all sorts of different topics, make sure to check that out. If you want to sign up, you can go to the scotthortonacademy.com/divulgence, and you'll get a discount. But yeah, I'll talk more about that another time. For now, yeah, just take care of yourself and be kind to one another. The shit's going crazy out there. So thanks again, Monica, and take